Today we're going to talk about TPAC, Technological, Pedagogical, and Content Knowledge. So far when we've talked about technology integration, we've used the PICRAP model. The PICRAP model helps us think about two things: the teacher's use of technology as it compares to traditional practice. So is the technology replacing how we usually teach and learn? Is it amplifying it? Or is it transforming to new ways of teaching and learning? It also looks at students' relationship to the technology, because remember, we need to be developing digital literacy, which has to do with how students use technology. Are they using it in a passive way, interactive, or creative? All of these different areas of technology use are fine and appropriate in different circumstances. If we want to maximize technology's impact on teaching and learning, we want to move it towards the transformative uses and the creative uses. All right, so now we're going to step back a little bit and talk about teaching in general. What are some characteristics of excellent teachers? What do they know, or what can they do? I came up with a random list. They listen to others, they can explain things clearly, they build relationships, they ask good questions, they have patience, that type of thing. Now, I am also a musician. I play the violin, and so I was thinking about what makes excellent musicians. Well, excellent musicians have mastered their technique, rhythm, intonation, which is playing in tune, reading music, blending, expressing themselves, listening, those types of things. Now, we know, or you may know or have heard, that sometimes people who are really good musicians or mathematicians or other things, they aren't necessarily good teachers. Especially, they might not be good teachers of the content area, which is what this is. It's the discipline or the content area. So there's something special that makes up people who can be really good music teachers. And I was just thinking about my experiences teaching violin, the types of things that I knew and did when I taught violin. So this probably won't make sense to you unless you've taught violin. I want to watch their thumbs. I know that if a student sees black on the page, they usually just start playing as fast as they can. I know students will struggle with this one passage in this one piece, and that if they can master this technique, everything else in the future will be easier. This right here is what we call pedagogical content knowledge. Pedagogical knowledge is your understanding about how to teach. Content is about the content or the disciplinary area, and the pedagogical is putting them together. This was actually presented first by Schulman in 1986, and it's knowing things like, how do learners think about these ideas? What types of misconceptions do they usually have about these concepts in this content area? What kind of mistakes or errors do they often make? What sequence, how should we order things to help them understand best? How can I know whether they actually understand something? These are things that people with strong pedagogical content knowledge know. So, brief example with pre-algebra. I have a little bit of experience teaching pre-algebra, so that's why I chose this one. I know that in pre-algebra, learners usually struggle with operations with positive and negative numbers, adding, subtracting, multiplying. And a lot of the time, they have a really hard time understanding that two negatives equals a positive when we multiply them. I also know that a lot of the time, learners believe that equals means the answer, when really my content knowledge says equals means the two sides of the equation are balanced. So this is some of the pedagogical content knowledge I have about pre-algebra. Now we're going to add technology to the mix. We have pedagogy and content knowledge, right? Pedagogical content knowledge. We're going to add technology on top of that to make technological pedagogical content knowledge. Do I know how to use technology to teach pre-algebra? Well, let me show you some examples. First of all, because they have a hard time with positive and negative numbers and understanding them, I might use a simulation to help them visualize it. So for example, this is from PhET. It's like a number line visualization of positive and negative numbers, and you can do different operations and see it and interact with it. That's a technology that can help with that challenge in understanding. I also might use some math games because I know that they need to automatize math facts so they don't have to think through them all the time. So I know that I can use some games for that. For this one, that learners often believe that equals means the answers, I can use things like physical scales to talk about balance, and that's a technology, right? That's a tool that we're using to teach, just a physical scale in the classroom. I can also look at more complex equations if I use a digital simulation. So this is another example from PhET where we can actually play with different values of x and different numbers and create equations and compare them. And that can help you visualize this equals meaning balance. So if we compare these models, TPACK brings in this content knowledge or disciplinary knowledge aspect of using technology to teach. PICRAT focuses more on the transformative and the creative uses. Now, I have to say, I work personally quite frequently with one of the creators of TPACK, Punya Mishra, and he very much is a fan of creative use, and he uses TPACK in a very creative way. But the PICRAT model helps us be more deliberate about that creativity. So, takeaways. First of all, excellent teachers have pedagogical content knowledge, PCK. They know how to teach in a content area. Excellent technology using teachers have technological pedagogical content knowledge, how to teach with technology in a content area. And we can use TPACK to help us focus on the disciplinary, which is like the content, and pedagogical aspects of technology. Thanks for watching.